figures, I would buy out a lot of stuff that the packaging they had, like this here. This was a hoarder house. I bought 2 of these rooms. This guy just threw toys in here forever. Hello and welcome back to SMPostcards. Today I got the 4 usual things on the agenda down here. The what I sold on eBay. I only sell on eBay now. I do have that little Ko-Fi store for resellers with some sleeves and stuff like that, but I don't do that cross-listing. I got off all the other sites. When I did the poll, over 90% of the postcard sellers were on eBay. They weren't on all these other sites. And I think 90% of the postcards out there for sale, eBay kind of wins on that. So I do one thing very well, but I don't, if you do a lot of different sites, you just do them well. You got to keep up with all the updates. Something sells on another site, you got to go over and take it down on the other sites, or if your tool does it, you got to verify. It's just stuff I don't want to do anymore. Then I have a special topic today of NASCAR postcards. NASCAR has a cult following. For a while there, I would say about 4 years ago, at the flea market, I couldn't keep NASCAR stuff in stock. I'd put a table out with those die-cast cars I get at auctions and stuff, they'd be gone. Now, in the last few years, I couldn't get rid of them. But they're starting to come back a little bit more. So we're going to go over NASCAR postcards, and there's some good prices on some of them. Then the poll. This was an interesting poll. I wanted to find out, going in this time of the year, what do you like least about selling postcards? What is the worst thing that you don't like doing when selling postcards? And the common theme, it was kind of a tough poll because everything is, I think I would have to pick the same one, but we'll go through that and some comments from people. And I got some ideas on how to fix some of the things that I've done just to take the monotony out of it. And then I got about 3 viewer comments to go over. Always want to stick it to the end. These are comments from email, YouTube, different eBay, different places. Let's go ahead and get started on the what sold. I only sold 14 cards today, met my goal, and pretty quick. And when you look at this, look at the variety of these cards. A lot of these cards sold for $4 to $5. So between $4 and $5. Mostly $4.75, or if I send a 10% offer, which I do all the time, it's about $4.30, $4.28. One of the comments left by a viewer, a longtime viewer, asked what to do with cards like that. And when you look at these cards, you would say, would I list those for that much? And you got that much for it? I list everything at a minimum price of $4.75. You might find a card out there at all my stock that's a little lower, but I don't do the $3, $2 cards. I put them at $4.75. And we'll talk about that in the viewer comments, what to do with those cards. There's different avenues you can do, but then we'll get into it then. Well, the first card sold is just of a daisy. It's from Carmi, Illinois, as a daisy town, is what it says. Like in a glitter glue. It's not glitter, but it's like a glue right on there. And it was posted in 1910, divided back, just a daisy, $4.75. Then I sold a Water Lot N, Southampton, Bermuda. That's one of those Bermuda cards, and that sold for $4.75. Just a chrome card, standard size, 3.5 by 5.5 of Bermuda. Caribbean, that's said sometimes, but I always pick up Caribbean cards. This is a semi-gloss matte back of a boat, ship. U.S. Boxer, LPH1. It's one of those prints that the club printed out. $4.75. Next one is Echo Reservoir. This is one of those cards where you put out there, and one might sold for $1 or $2 in those auctions they put out there, and you say, what am I going to do with this card? I sold it for $4.75. It's a reservoir. It's a view card. And it was posted in 1962. Someone wanted a picture of the reservoir. Then always pick up motels. That for some reason, I go into motels more than I do hotels. Motels are buildings along the road where a car can pull up outside. Hotels are more fancier. This is one of those New Orleans series type. You see that a lot on New Orleans cards. Unposted, $4.75 of the Sherwood Hotel, New Orleans, Louisiana. Sold the ship photo Indiana, BB-1 from the 1890s. This is coal. It was like coal or up there. This is an actual photo. That's why it's curled like that. On the paper, that paper will do that. It'll even out a little bit, but that's just how they end up. And that's sold for $8.55. Next one is Pledge Allegiance. So it's got the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines all in the four corners and the Pledge Allegiance. And this sold for $4.75. Looked like it had a little bit of water or some moisture on the back with the writing kind of smeared on there. So $4.75. It's like a linen card. Yeah, it's a linen card. $4.75. Then I sold a Continental card. It's another one of those cards a lot of people say they wouldn't list. This is the Greetings from California, the Golden State. It's got the scallop, deco, whatever you want to call it, edge. That usually doesn't give you any more money. Posted, and I don't know when it was posted, but it's a map. $4.75. That will fit into Continentals, and Standard will fit into these envelopes. And I like these envelopes the best because they don't bend them to put them in the mailbox like that. When you get a bigger, longer envelope, or you put it in something that's bigger, they'll do this to get it in the mailbox. Well, these, they'll just slide right in any slot and stuff like that. So that's another good reason to use those types of mailers. Another one of the cards that I think is a lower value, but I put up, it's a Rocky Mountain Sheep, male and a female. It's a white border card. Unposted, $4.75. This is one of those ship prints that they printed out. This is the Great Naval Parade of American Sailors at Sydney, Australia. This is probably during the time when they did the Great White Fleet. I did a video about that, and there is a thing in the Ko-Fi store to identify those Great White Fleet ships. You can take a look at that, and that's just one of those non-glossy, matte on front, matte on back. I don't sell a lot of these, but people knew who they are to come get them. That's sold for $4.75. This is the Branson's Resort. Just a lake. Someone went to the resort, and this was posted in 1962. $4.75. This is the Devil's Tombstone in Palo Duro Canyon, Texas State Park, Amarillo, Texas. Vertical card, rounded corners. Doesn't really give you any more money. That's just what they did in the 50s, 60s. Was a common thing. That's the Devil's Tower. $4.75. Then the last card that sold, number 14, Alvin R. Bush Dam. Dams, I always pick up. Long tail, but they do sell. $4.75. So you saw a lot of cards in there. As we get into viewer comments at the end of the video, we'll talk a little bit more about it. A lot of these cards, some people wouldn't post, or they'd lot them up, or they would list them for like $2, $3. I don't do that. I go to $4.75 as my margin. Sure, they sit in there, but I end up selling them sometime, or they just sit and keep getting moved toward box one. But I sold 14 cards, which was my goal for this year, is 14 cards a day. I want to do $70 a day. I did $76.24 for overnight, and my average sale price was $5.24. So I met all my goals. My ASP went up, 14 cards, over $70 a day. Not too bad. Special topic, NASCAR Postcards. NASCAR is, anybody that doesn't know what that is racing, stock car racing. There's all these companies pay big bucks to put their names on cars and stuff. There's just a big cult following. We got a big speedway up here, probably about 40 minutes west of me, that just, I mean, people come from all over, campers and stuff. It just gets loaded up when there's race day. But I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to talk a little bit about NASCAR to set a foundation. So if you don't understand NASCAR, I hope this will give you a little bit. And I got like 4 little facts about NASCAR that I found, that I threw in here. But we're going to take a look at some of the postcards I found that have NASCAR on them. So this will set you the foundation and give you an idea of what, when you look through those white boxes and you see NASCAR, what you might do with those. Here we go. NASCAR, short for National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing. So that's NASCAR, short for National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing. Has a fascinating history that dates back to the 1940s. It all began when bootleggers who used to illegally transport moonshine in modified cars to evade the law started competing in informal races to determine who had the fastest car. These early races laid the foundation for what would become NASCAR. In 1947, NASCAR was officially founded by Bill France Sr. in Daytona Beach, Florida. The organization's goal was to bring structure and rules to stock car racing, making it a legitimate and safer sport. In the 1950s, saw NASCAR grow in popularity with more racetracks and drivers joining the circuits. Iconic drivers like Lee Petty and Junior Johnson became household names during this era. The 1960s and 70s were marked by fierce rivalries between legends of Richard Petty and David Pearson. NASCAR also saw innovation in car design, safety measures. In the 1980s and 1990s, drivers like Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon captured the hearts of fans, making NASCAR one of the most watched sports in the United States. I remember that in the 90s. I wasn't a big NASCAR fan, but I did watch some of the races. Today, NASCAR continues to evolve with new rules, technologies, and more diverse lineup of drivers. The sport has expanded beyond its southern roots to become a nationwide sensation with races at various tracks across the country. Young drivers like Chase Elliott and Bubba Wallace are carrying the torch forward, ensuring that NASCAR remains an exciting and ever-evolving part of American motorsports history. The first fact out of 4, moonshine roots. One odd fact about NASCAR is that it has its origin in moonshining industry. It's when they made the moonshine liquor during Prohibition and stuff in the woods or whatever, in the stills, and then they would outrun the cops. During the Prohibition era in the United States, moonshiners modified their cars to outrun the police, giving birth to the idea of stock car racing. Prohibition ended. These drivers continued racing each other, leading to the formation of NASCAR in 1948. Number 2, restrictor plates. To ensure safety and regulated speeds at some tracks, NASCAR uses restrictor plates on the carburetors of the cars. These plates limit airflow and horsepower, forcing cars to race closely together in tight packs, which can lead to intense and unpredictable races, particularly at super speedways like Daytona and Talladega speedways. Number 3, car number superstitions. Conspiracy theories. NASCAR drivers and teams are often superstitious about the numbers on their cars. The same with sports, with jerseys and stuff. Some believe that certain numbers are lucky or unlucky. For example, the number 13 is considered unlucky in many cultures, and in NASCAR, it's been a rare sight on the track. However, in 2020, driver Ty Dillon broke the superstition by racing with number 13, embracing the uniqueness of it. So he went against the crowd. And the last fact I found, tire changers. And we all see the pit crews when they pull in and they speed out and they fill it up and lift the car up and change the tires. That's the pit crews. NASCAR pit crews are known for their incredible speed and precision when changing tires during the race. What's odd is that many tire changers are not your typical athletes. Some have backgrounds in sports like college, basketball, and baseball. Their hand-eye coordination and agility play a crucial role in the lightning-fast pit stops that can determine a race's outcome. It's not uncommon for a former college basketball player to become a tire changer on a NASCAR team. So that was a little bit about NASCAR. Began in 1948, been around, a lot of origins in moonshining, so from the 1940s to now. I think it took a little dip in the 2000s, and now it's starting to come back up again. I'm starting to see more advertising, more things about things. There was a lot of political stuff going on and some other scandals and stuff, but I still think they have a following. Deep in the South, but it's like up here, it's also big all over the states. But do they sell? Can I sell a car, a NASCAR card? I always talk about this little gauge I put up here. The red 0 to 3%. It's sell-through rate. That's just not the price. It's not sales. It's not promoted listing. This is just, I just look at how many cards have moved through the eBay system in a 90-day period. I just take a snapshot. I might miss a few. I hit completed and I hit sold. It's just a snapshot. It's not scientific. It gives me a sense to say, hey, should I even worry about these? So if I go to a card show and a guy has a long box, 800 postcards of NASCAR, would I even consider looking in that box? I would probably just ask if I could buy the whole box, knowing me. Because what I see here, you'll see in a second, they do sell on a sell-through. They are moving through the system. Doesn't mean yours are going to sell. There's so many variables on it, but it gives you an idea, a better educated guess what to pick up. A lot of people ask me, is this worth picking up? Is this worth picking up? You can't go to a show and comp every card. You gotta use your gut sometimes. Yeah, you're gonna pick up some duds and you're gonna pick up some winners. And then you're gonna pick up your average. Just look for the average cards, the other ones fall in there. But the 0 to 3% sell-through rate, I tend to stay away. Like if they have a box of QSL cards, I'm not even looking at it. I don't care if there's ornate ones, whatever, because the majority are not gonna sell for me. I just don't do well with those. Then your 4 to 7 is your average, and 8 to 10%. Those are the areas I key in on, because the ones 11% and above, the high, very high ones will show up. People miss things. You'll miss things. I don't know how many hold to the light I probably missed, because sometimes you got to pick them up, feel the weight, the thickness, and look for the die cuts. I probably missed more than I know. So that's the gauge I use in my head. Well, I went out and I did sell-through rate for NASCAR. I did postcard NASCAR. That's all I had to do. Boy, did I get some stuff out there. I had to clean up a little bit. Did the best I could, ran it a few times, but I took the sold divided by listed and times it by 100, and I round up the percent. There was 3,800 sold, 9,800 listed, times it by 100, and gives you a 39% sell-through rate. That is not a bad sell-through rate if you look at the chart. Disney's at 22. I think Wiki Watch is up there, Mermaids. But 39%, that's a good very good sell-through rate. Now, it probably depends on the driver, the car, the date of the car, stuff like that. So that you still got to do some homework, but it gives you an idea to say, hey, there might be something here. I'm going to pick those up over the QSL cards. That's what this does. But then I bumped up against some other things. I wanted just to see if it sticked. Why is this so big? So you got Postcard NASCAR at 39%. Then I did Daytona, because that's one of the originating starting places. Daytona, 16%. 500, Daytona 500 is what I put in there. That's the race. So I didn't want to get Daytona, get all those Florida cards. I did get some, and I removed as many as I could. 33 are out there, 204 listed, 16%. Postcard IndyCar, that's the Indianapolis Raceway that they have every year. 227 listed. Those are different types of cars. They're not the stock cars. Those Indy racers. 1,800 listed, 13%. So NASCAR's still way up there. And then stock, I just put stock car. 106 sold, 1,300 listed, 8%. So NASCAR is a key term. I would make sure in the title, item specific, description, wherever you think you need to put it, is what that's going to hit. I think the saved searches and stuff might be NASCAR. So that's at 30, way above the field of the other ones. But that's sell-through rate, not price, promoted listings or anything. This is just shows how many cards moved. Now we're going to get into some extreme price. I call them extreme high prices. The highest ones I find out there that I can vet out. Now if you look at this one, this is a 2023 Noah Gregson Wendy's Chicago number 42 NASCAR Cup Series postcard. It says very hard to find. I don't know. I don't have one. $70 in bids. These are all auctions you're going to see here for these Wendy's cards. This one's $70 with 27 bids. The next one is the same one. I think it's the same seller because they're kind of using the same title to a point. $66, 17 bids. So there's 17 bids on here. So maybe 4 people are going at it. And then the last one, as you know, $70, $66. And then this one is $46, $45. Same card. 12 bids. And they all got $4 to $5 shipping on them. So if you have a Wendy's card, these are the types of things that move. So if you're looking through a box of cards and you see the little Wendy's logo and it's a NASCAR, what would you do with it? Pick it up for $1? Heck yeah. $2 probably. It might not be the one here, it might not be the one you want, but you got a better chance by looking at this and the sell-through rate saying, yeah, I'll pick up this Wendy's car. And then I found some other ones. This is 2023. If you notice, all of these are newer drivers and stuff. Joey Lagogan, number 22, the Good Feet store. NASCAR Cup Series postcard, rare again, hard to find. $51 with 34 bids. So would these do better than auctions, than buy it nows? Those are all the things that always go through my head. And then you got Jensen Button signed. Now some of these cards are signed. 2023 Indianapolis NASCAR handout postcard, Mobile 1, $65, and that's a buy it now. So maybe buy it nows will be fine. But if you look at all the high watermark, the very high watermark, you're looking at $50 to $70, probably $50 to $60 for some of these cards. I definitely will keep my eyes open for NASCAR. Then you get back down to earth and you look at your average. I throw out the high ones, I throw out the very low ones, and kind of look in the middle. That's where I work. I work in the middle. So I found this one, new 2023, new, I don't know why they put that there. Dinger? I destroyed that name. Number 16, NASCAR Cup Series, Bath Planet Hero. So those are the sponsors. $22.88 in an auction. Next one is Gary Galding, number 15, Penny Ford. NASCAR Cup Series. So is there like Cup Series and different things you get into? I'm not for sure. $20.50 auction. 8 people, 8 bids, 6 bids. And the first one had 8 bids. So $20, $21. And then you got Ryan Press, number 41, NASCAR Cup Series, Mohawk Northeast Incorporated. Another sponsor. $20.72. So all of these cards I would say $15 to $20. And these are newer 2023. I wouldn't pass them up. And I bet you these are continental size as well, since they're newer. So the NASCAR is another one you can put in your tool belt when you go to shows, looking online or whatever, looking through a box of cards, and if you see a good nice stack of NASCAR, that just makes you more confident with an educated guess on what you see here that you might have a better chance of selling those. And I don't know how long they'll set for you, but sell-through rate says they're pretty high and they're moving through the market. But I would definitely get NASCAR up there. But that's another card that you can look through, and I feel every time I do these videos I learn more and more on there, because NASCAR to me was the toys. I never really thought of them as much about postcards. If I find a stack of NASCAR postcards, heck yeah, I'm going to pick those up. That's car racing, NASCAR. Who knew? Now we're going to get into the poll. This poll, this to me would be a hard one to pick, but it kind of was a little different. I thought it'd be more spread out all the way across. But what do you list, or what do you like the least with selling postcards? I mean, nobody likes to work, but I enjoy doing something. When I retired, my worst concern was I got to find something to do. I got to have some kind of commitment. I got to have something to organize. That's just the way I am and the way I've been trained and the way I live. I just want something to do. I just don't want to wake up and sit in front of the TV or go see family, go do this, go to the store, the rest of my life. I wanted something that I can grow and have fun with. And reselling has been that thing. So what do you like least with selling postcards? Right here's the poll. The top one was listing, 48%. The second one was researching. I broke those up because listing, you can pile through some of those regular Chrome view cards, but then when you get into the ones you got to research, it can take a while. And then sourcing and buying new postcards is 13%, and packing and shipping is 4%. And then we have other, because some people, that's probably one of the highest other, 16% that I've seen. But let's break these down. Then I'll get into some comments from people. I got 6, 7 comments here from people. So the first one was listing. 48% of the people do not like the list. Even, I don't think it's just postcards. I think it's everything else. They just don't want to get started. But once they get started, it's pretty good. What I found, when I don't like to do something, I break it up in little pieces that I like to do. So when I'm listing, I'll go through and I'll take a box of cards and I'll just scan a whole box of cards. As you notice from my other videos, I have the whole year already scanned. So my scanning next year is very low. And then I just put them here. I don't see value to me for sorting just to get the same state every time. I'm not looking to save that much time. I can type pretty fast. The time you spend on sorting it's kind of a wash to me. But that's just me. Some people say you have to sort. I don't have to. It's the way I do it. It's my system. So when I go through here, I just took the box and I scanned them, got them in the same order in a folder on my PC. I got a plant from Hawaii. I got a poinsettia tree. Another flower. So I'm getting into flowers here. Gardens. And getting there. Then you get into a battleship. And so it's just constant. I just screwed all these up. So it's just a constant variety that I'm putting up. I'm just not trying to save time and reinvent the wheel. And what I do, so if I did this one and I did 5 others, I could stop. I know right where I'm at, and then I just go do something else. I stop and start, stop and start. So I'll do it for maybe a half hour, do 10, 15 cards, then I go back and do something else, stop doing postcards, watch TV, go to the store, run to the post office. Then I'll come back later in the afternoon, maybe I'll do 10 more. So now I got 25 done. And then later in the evening before dinner, I'll do 10 more. Now I got 35 done. And then before I go to bed, I'll come in and check if there's any messages or whatever I need to work on and see what I got to do in the morning. And I'll do the rest for the day. 5 more, I'm at 40. So it's not a one-time me sitting down. Now sometimes I do that when I get a bunch of good cards, or I just don't have anything else to do. I'll just sit here and watch TV and list all day. But those are few and far between. So you want to break it down. Another thing is, how do you list your postcards? Do you do a find one and do sell similar? Or do you have a template? I use templates. eBay has templates. So you can go in and I put postcard in front of every title, so that's got postcard space, and that's where it starts. I have everything set up as Chrome in my item specifics. And everything's in there, and the price of $4.75 and my default shipping. So all I got to do is type in the title, which 90% of the time it's going to be on the card, most of the title, and I write that in there. And then I grabbed the picture, I put the title in, then I go through and I put them in my store category. If it's a linen, whatever, I just go back and change those few things. Make sure the little blue circle's closed on the PC. You can see that on the item specifics. Copy the title down in the description. I don't put anything else in there. The price, when I get the price, that's when I take the title, clean it up a little bit, I shove it into WorthPoint, and I shove it into eBay if it's one I need to comp. This card, I don't need to comp. It's going up for $4.75. This card, I don't need to comp. Going up for $4.75. This card, $4.75. This card is a copy of the other one. All these cards right there. So I just did 5 at $4.75. I'm not going to go out and comp these cards. I know they're, even if they are $1 more, they're flower cards. They're going to set. But flower cards do sell. Do you use 6-bit or another tool, an outside tool? Get good with the tool and stick with it. There's so many different ways to do it, but if it's bothering you about listing, figure out what pieces you don't like and break it up. How to make it better. But if you spend all the time in front sorting, stacking, all this stuff, it's the same amount of time. So you got to remove things from your listing world. Now when I did toys, action figures, I would buy out a lot of stuff that the packaging they had, like this here. This was a hoarder house. I bought 2 of these rooms. This guy just threw toys in here forever. A lot of these packaging here I could not use, but the figures were plastic and they were still good. So I would go through and bring in, we put them in these big contractor bags, that's how we got them out of the room, and put them in a 17-foot U-Haul, and it was totally full. I had to turn stuff away. Now the truck cost me about $300-400 because I had to drive 200 miles around trip basically to get all this stuff. And I sold 3 bags off the back of that truck at the place. Guy wanted them. That paid for my mileage truck and lunch for me and my father-in-law. But there was so much stuff. It was we had to turn stuff away, and I didn't pay that much for all that. But those action figures, I found a $500 action figure in that thing that sold for like $350, and that's just because the packaging wasn't great. And then there was a bunch of Transformers and just everything. But all the pieces were there, but I had to break down and tear the cardboard off, and I had these little Ziploc bags I put them in, and I would put the name, I would sometimes cut the title off the little packaging and stick that in there so I had somewhere to go. And I had these little beer trays, and I would stack up like 70 toys for the next day. I had a 3-tier cart I would roll in my office, and every night I would make sure that all the trays are full. And then in the morning I would go through and take pictures of every one of those. They were all clean and ready to go and stuff. And then I would take all the pictures for the trays in order. And then I would sit there and I would list through the afternoon until I got that cart done. Then I would do the same thing. So I had like 300 little action figures on that cart all the time. And I broke it up in pieces. And then they would go into a box and go to the storage unit as listed stuff. They sold so fast. Some of those I made really good money off of that. But that's how I broke that up. You know, do photos, do the preparation, and just keep a rotation so you're not sitting there for hours doing the same thing. You can sit for 3 hours and just do postcards. Then we get into the second one, was really researching. That's one of my, I'm not a big researcher. I'd rather sell a card for my margin that I got it for and let someone else go out and do all that deep dive stuff. A lot of people are really good at it. I'm not the best at it. I can do it, and I do it with special folder stuff. But if I'm going through listing cards, good, $4.75, $4.75, let's say, oh, this one, or we get into this one, and you say, oh, that's going to be worth a little bit more. I think it's above $12. I moved the picture, the scan, and the thing, and I put it in what I call a special folder. And when I get about 10 or 12 of those in there, then one day I'll just sit there and do all special researching and stuff. So I'm in research mode. I know that day I'm only going to put up about 10, 12 cards because I'm spending all the time researching just to see. But quick comps in WorthPoint, quick comps in eBay, quick comps on Google Image, I do that all the time. I'll take and throw it over there real quick just to see what bucket it falls in. So, but researching can be fun for a lot of people and when they really get into it. Then the other one is sourcing, buying new postcards. Some people don't have areas they say that they can't find postcards. They're out there. You'll become more aware of them as you go. But auctions, online, be careful with online. A lot of people are buying stuff that's already been picked through, and they don't pay a lot sometimes unless you really know what's in them. I try to source private collections or someone that contacts me and stuff like that because they haven't been picked through, they haven't been online and stuff like that. So, but that's the fun of it. Go to antique malls, pay up a little bit, but you'll get different cards. Now, most of the postcards you probably list are probably out there. You just gotta get them up. And then the last one, I thought this one would be a little higher with packing and shipping, but then I thought about it. You're not using bubble wrap, tape, all that stuff. You're just basically going over, find the postcard, and put it here. So what that tells me is a lot of people got good inventory systems, which is good. I always tell people not how to do it, but get a system that works for you so you can find your cards quickly. That's the hardest part, is finding the cards. And if you're doing the thing where you put 2 dividers, number 1, numbers 2, and you put 50 cards in there. If you put 400 cards, you're going to look through 400 cards every time. Keep those numbers low. If you use a number system like I do, you just go to the box and find the number and that's it. You could care less what's on the card because you know a number, but you always got to check it. So it sounds like everybody's doing really good out there with their inventory and packing. I think they're not spending too much time with that stuff. And it's not bad. My packing in the morning is nothing. It's the easiest thing to do. I do a little bit of tracking with cards of what box they come out of and stuff like that. If I stop that, I could cut that down another 10-15 minutes off there. But I want to keep those numbers for us, as I'll use in other videos to just show you over time what's happening in a big postcard store. And then there's other. And I got notes for these. The first one is from Tim Fleener. One thing he doesn't like about postcard selling: the relatively low sell-through rate compared to other things that we have sold in the past. Postcards can take quite a while to sell, but listing a lot of them is quite easy, so it kind of balances out. I love everything else about selling postcards: easy to list, priced, and ship. Yeah, a lot of people, if they're working full-time jobs, they don't have a lot of time to do stuff and they want something to get away. A lot of them are part-timers that do postcards. They're also, you can store a lot in a very small space, and they're not hard to lift, and they just move. I use postcards a lot for toys. Toys were like this. It's very seasonal, very movie specific, very what's new ones coming out. So you'd have these steep valleys, and I would do postcards, and it kind of took the sales, and it would just trend. So I'd sell 10 toys, 10 action figures, and I would sell 5 postcards. And when the toys are down, postcards seem to pick back up. So it was kind of a filler for a lot of stuff too. When you get tired of listing clothes, you want to list some postcards, just have a mix. So I understand that. And the slow sell-through rate, yes, they do take a while to sell. Expect postcards. A lot of people say, hey, I put 500 postcards up and I only sold 1 this month. Well, you need to get more if you're selling the average cards. Now, if you're selling Halloween cards, some of the real photos that you research and higher end cards, they sell themselves. Collectors, you're selling to collectors a lot, or people in nostalgia. They're going to sell themselves. Totally different. Average cards, there's 7 to 9 million postcards on eBay. So you're not going to turn that boat. You're in a big ocean. You got to do something to get the people there, but you're not going to be able to force people to come buy your stuff. Thanks, Tim. Then Kat D says, writing out descriptions for postcards take a little more work than some of the other things I list. I understand that, Kat, but I'm not for sure. I don't do anything in the descriptions. I take the title and I cut and paste it down to the bottom. That's it. Now, if the card has a nice crease in the corner, maybe I'll say crease top right corner. That's all I'll say in there. But otherwise, I just take the title and I cut it down there. The condition statement, you can go into one of my listings at SMPostcards.com and just grab that condition statement. I stole it from somebody else years ago and modified it and remodified it, and that is in my template, and that covers almost everything, writing on the front, creases, and stuff like that. So if you're writing more than you should, maybe you can go out and look at other postcard sellers and see what they're doing. I don't think it's a game changer. People buy postcards by sight more than they do reading. It's not going to change the world on there, but I understand what you're saying, Kat. Thanks. Then Jules, he voted for other. Low sell-through rate, if only more of them sold at a higher price. Laughing out loud. I love everything else, including listing and packing, and most of the customers are really great. Much nicer than what I sold on other carriers. Yes. There's you get a bad apple every once in a while, but I'm not intimidated by anybody. So I just either refund them or let them know it's on its way. Whatever it is, each refund or conversation is a separate transaction. You can't treat them all the same. Some people fight that and try to treat every return the same. Each one is a reverse transaction is all it is. You sell a $20 postcard. The guy doesn't think it's $20, wants to send it back. You get it back, you refund, relist it, resell. It's just a reverse transaction to me. It's just, and I have 7 return refunds this year now. 2 of them were my fault. I sent one the wrong card. I don't know what the heck I did in August. I did something one day and it messed up 2. So when you send one wrong card, most of the time you're going to get a partner you sent the other one. So I had 2 I just refunded. And then 5 were mostly mail. Didn't get the mail in there. And I got all that. I got 4 claims put in and 4 claims back. So 4 of them I got my money back. I'm just waiting to send in the last claim. But I've only had 7 returns, so I do not even think that's a part of my business. I just deal with it when it comes in because I deal with it so less, not often at all. So why do I want to really worry about that? But people are really nice. But one of the things Jules says, they should sell higher than they should. You can't force the people, and you can't force the market in postcards and most things. It's huge. It's 7 to 9 million postcards. People are selling what it is, and we'll get into comping here in the next question here. But a lot of people try to raise their prices because they want to sell them for more, and the market isn't doing that, because if you put a card for $12.75 and there's another 50 cards out there at below $5 and below, and those other lower auctions, they're buying. You just can't force people to buy your stuff at a price like that, especially if they're dealing with price. Thanks, Jules, and I understand exactly what you're saying about I wish they would move faster and stuff, but that's just postcard. Sometimes you just got to go with what's happening, is how I see it. But always nice to see you, Jules. Then Larry Way Out, his question is what I was talking about when I was doing the what sold. Figure out what to do with bulk that falls below my minimum listing limit of $5. So I have $4.75 as my minimum. He has $5. People have $5.99. Some people have $3. It depends wherever you think you need to be and what you're buying cards for. But I don't change off of that. $4.75 is what I sell it for. That's it. I don't say, well, this card's not going to sell for $4.75. So I'd still put it up. Save it and do one huge lot, or sell state and location. So as you notice, Larry, a lot of the cards I did in what sold were cards that you would probably put up less than $5. They're review cards. A lot of them are review cards and stuff like that. I still put them up for $4.75 because the comps that people sell stuff for, that's just a guideline to me. That's just the curbs on the road and the yellow lines to stay in there. You don't want to, if you're seeing a lot of the cards selling for $5, you don't want to put this card up for $50 because it's never going to sell and eBay's not going to show it to anybody. So you want to be in the ballpark. So if someone's selling cards for $3, $4 and I put it up for $4.75 and my minimum's $5, I'm still going to put it up at $5 or whatever. And people will pick it from you, especially your followers and stuff like that. So I wouldn't use comps as, you know, I cannot put this up more than $5 if that's all you see out there. You can always go higher. That's how you can move the market a little bit. Some of my Navy covers, for example, a lot of people sell those Navy ship covers, those stamped envelopes with the name of the ship, for $1 and then $1 shipping or whatever on eBay. A lot of them. I don't. I sell them all for $4.75, and I've sold about 100 this year already. I don't change that on there. Is it about 100? I'd have to look. Let me take a look real quick. Yeah, I've sold about 100 covers this year at $4.75, and most of the comps are $1 to $3. And I just put them up for $4.75. All my ships are $4.75 because when I bought them from the club, I got them for such a cheap price. They buy multiples, and it's just great. Basically, the ships pay the bills a lot. But I wouldn't worry about being too high or whatever. Just put them up there. Some are gonna sit. But then your other option, you're already thinking, is do you lot them up? Yeah, just do a USA lot of 100 things and get your money back. So you're thinking the right way, Larry. Thanks. Bold to Grow Pickers. I picture this, Chris. Bold to Grow Pickers he's always fighting how much space he has in his messages. Mostly working out storage for listed and unlisted inventory in my tiny space. So he has not a lot of space. I can just picture Chris trying to get that one postcard in that closet. I know I can fit one more in there. That's what I told him. So yeah, you gotta figure out what you can't overbuy because you don't have room for it, and you don't want to rent a storage unit just for postcards because you're going to lose anything you make. So, kitchen cupboards, microwave. Who uses the microwave? Just stick some postcards in there, Chris. Thanks, as always. Bell Postcards, the dreaded. Yes. It says delivered and it wasn't in my mailbox. Where is my postcard? It says delivered. I haven't seen the eBay mailman yet. Did you ship it by eBay or the post office? Get all those things. It's quieted down so much from what in the beginning when eBay standard envelope came out. It was constant. But now I track it now when I do the eBay standard envelope analysis every month. Is how many requests. I maybe get 1 or 2 a month, if that. But I have a standard little blurb comment that I send to people. So I've had people request that in email. So if you want to see that, just watch this video here. I go through the whole thing. Where's my postcard? It's going to happen. It's just the way it is. eBay's not going to change it. It's just how it works. So you just got to deal with it. Have something in place to deal with that. Just cut and paste, throw it out there, let them wait. I wouldn't tell them, hey, wait 2 weeks and it'll get there. You're going to trigger them. They're not going to wait 2 weeks. That's a trigger. So I tell them, if it's Monday, they hit me up and say, hey, it said deliver, but it's not here. And I tell them, I said, this is how it works. I send a blurb. If it's not there by Thursday, I'll contact you. I write it down, the number, and then if I don't hear from them, I put a little ownership on them to let me know if they got it, and then Thursday I'll hit them up, and if it's still not there, and I say, hey, do you mind waiting until Monday just to make sure? And so you're creeping them up. You're not triggering them. But if you say right off the bat, this is how it works and stuff, I'm sure you don't know how it works, and you got to wait 2 weeks for this. That's a trigger. They're going to want to refund and move on, because they can probably go out and buy a card from somebody else. That's how I picture it. You can do whatever you want, but I kind of ease them into it. But I don't get it that often anymore. It's quieted down a lot. But thanks, Belle. Then the vintage codger. thinking that you have a potentially high value card to find it listed and sold already for $2 with free shipping. Yeah, there's two things there. One is it's not as valuable maybe that you thought it was, and two is, God, I should have bought that card at $2. Who got that one? I should have got that one. Yeah, but that's another thing with comps. Just don't believe everything you see. A lot of people will get Aunt May's box of postcards, put them up, and they think it's worth $200 each card, and they never sell. And some people will get them and they'll just put them up for $1.99 or whatever. So you gotta kind of throw all those out and look for the average, like I kind of do in sell-through rate. So if I see cards listed for $2-3 and the sell-through rate's 40%, heck yeah, I'm raising the price on there because the demand is higher than the price goes up. That's how you can use sell-through rate with price a little bit. If there's a high demand, then raise the price. So you can play with all the different things. But yeah, you'll get cards that you think is great. And I have an example coming up in another one where I found a 20th annual fair card for a certain town. And I thought it was gold. I said, oh my God, this is great. Big tent, tinted, the whole works. And then I started doing the comps, and I found this town over here on the side, western United States, had the same postcard and fair and tent and lady in the east side of the United States. And then another one, it was the same card used by the publisher, and they just stuck different dates and towns on them. I didn't sell the card for top dollar because I knew it wasn't what it was. It sold within probably 2-3 days. Probably could have got a little bit more for it, but I'm sitting there, yeah, there's something up with this card, and I didn't pay more than 5 cents for it. So I got my money for it, but I got an example. I got that written down and put in a video just to show you what I saw that you want to be careful for. And I've seen it before. There's also a video called The Same Sky, Postcard Same Sky, that some viewers turned me on to. Dexter Print would use the same sky. It'd be, say, Pennsylvania had the same clouds that Colorado or Grand Canyon had. The artist would just use the same background and put the other, or expose the other pictures on it. And that postcard collector went through and found it's called Same Sky Postcard. Look in YouTube, and it's a nice little video to watch. But thanks, Vintage Codger, and everybody else that participated in the polls. Again, going into 2024, if you've got any questions you'd like me to put a poll on, I'm looking to fill out the rest of the year. I know I got up to March, and I've gotten some other ones in. Send them to me, and if I see they're able to use, they fit into what I do here on the channel, I'll use them. I might reward them a little bit, and then I'll let you know when they're out there. But if you have any questions, you want to see what other viewers and people do, let me know. That's the poll. Thanks, everyone. Just got 3 quick viewer comments here. One's from Joe Mechanic. This is talking about WorthPoint. I have a little affiliate link, WorthPoint, down there. I use WorthPoint. I'm on the monthly plan because if I do ever find that it's not worth what I want, I can always just turn it off. I didn't want to pay the one-time monthly thing. Yeah, I'm losing a little bit of money, but I've turned it off before. But I wasn't really going after average sale price then. Now, in the last year, I've been trying to raise my average sale price, and WorthPoint has helped me do that. My average sale price is going up. It pays for itself. There have been cards I could not really see on eBay correctly. Yeah, eBay therapy goes back, but you're just looking at one place. I kind of looked at WorthPoint. I like sometimes how it is. The search is a little different. Some people hate it. Some people just deal with it. There's a little affiliate link. I get $1 or something. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're going to get WorthPoint, just go and hit that link, and I get a little kickback. I'll tell you, it's not much. It doesn't pay for my monthly subscription, I'll tell you that. But I always try to sign up with those and put a link out for people, and it helps the channel and stuff. But Joe Mechanic said, I started a subscription just over 2 months ago. It's well worth the price. So he's figured it out. I've already made enough to pay for the yearly subscription. So by using WorthPoint, Joe's figured out that he can pay the yearly thing. So there is some good to it. Go in with an open mind, be humble. It's not eBay, it's not Amazon, and look for stuff. Now I just got the monthly premium for looking up things. I don't get into all the vault and all this other stuff. I use the basic $28 a month or something, $25. So if you're selling postcards average price $5, that's 5 postcards. And if it can give you another $5, $10, $20, it kind of pays for itself. I always like it, and I use it for other things as well. Me and my father will go to auctions and stuff, and I'll find some of the other weird stuff on there. But thanks, Joe. Jay Said he just purchased a lot from an estate sale. Some date back to 1908, and some are booklets with no writing on them. I'm retired as well and selling for extra cash. Thanks for the info. Yeah, this is great supplement. That's what I am. I'm retired, supplemental thing. I don't live off of this. I could stop postcards for now, forever, and I'll still be fine. My money's in the mailbox. That's how I set up my thing. I'm financially independent. I don't carry debt in the business or in personal life. You can't when you retire. You got to have everything financially set way before you retire, and we're set for that. And hopefully we don't outlive our money. But he got a box of cards that date back to 1908. So 1908 to 1912 is basically the golden age of postcards, is what I replied to Jay. There's billions of postcards sold, printed and sold and mailed during those times, they said. So you might have some special ones there, but most of the time they're regular divided back. Because 1907 before is undivided back, but there might be some undivided backs with the postmark of 1908. The postmarks on the postcard tells me one thing. It was made before the postmark was put on the card. Some people would put these cards in a drawer. Say they bought a bunch of undivided backs in 1907. They might be in a drawer for 15 years, 10 years. And then later on they bring them out, they draw their little line or whatever. So the postmark is a good way to date things, to give you a good idea, but the main thing it tells you is that the postcard was made before the postmark. It sounds like you got some good older cards there. They'll still sell. You just got to do your regular stuff like we talk about all the time here. But great find, Jay. Thanks. Then I had a question in email. When you first started reselling, did you have to put a lot of money into it at first to get inventory, supplies, and stuff? I had a full-time job. I made a good living, so I had some extra cash, always do, to put into the business. So when my first inventory, when I started selling, I really didn't know what, I liked action figures and stuff, so I started getting into that. I'd go around and pick them up at garage sales, and I was spending that. I would say the first 6 months I probably put more in, lost some. I had some PayPal stuff, and learning the things, I sold some too low. But yeah, I put money into the business in the beginning. It's called capital startup funds. So whenever you start something, I had to get a scale. I had to, get this. But Christmas came up, and I said, I'd really like to have this printer. And I told my wife it was this one, but she ended up getting a Rollo, which she thought was better. I still have it. And then next Christmas, I wanted a better camera. The kids all put in and got me a camera. Then I wanted a tripod, and I wanted a thing. So I kind of use birthdays or something like that. Hey, give me an Amazon card. I want to buy this thing. Is all you need to do, because they always want to give you something. You can't say no. So I just send them a picture and say, hey, what I'm looking to get is $200, stuff like that. So that's how you can do it, but it takes a while. So if you're just going to do postcards and you're going to do them part-time, it's going to take you a while, 6 to 8 months. Put up 1,000 postcards, sell, ship, get things together. Don't buy a $500 scanner at first and buy all this expensive stuff. Use your camera at first. People still sell postcards with that. If you really like what you're doing and you're making money, put money to the side. And if you want to put money in your business, pick up a scanner. Would be one of the best things to have. When you're buying envelopes and stuff, you can't go out and buy 10,000 of these, 3,000. Buy they sell them by 250 on Amazon, Echo Swift. Just buy 250 of them. Figure out how many postcards you're selling a month. So if you're selling $200 or 200 postcards a month, 3 months is 600. So if you bought a box of 500, that'll get you three months. But do you have the cash flow to do that? So if you're selling 200 a month, I'd make sure I had 300, at the beginning of every month, I'd make sure I have 300 envelopes. I never run out of envelopes. I probably got like 4,000 back there right now. And that's just because I stocked up. I have them in the Ko-Fi store, and I had a little run. People buying 40, 50, it's because they're part-time. They're not selling a lot, and I'll pack them up with their other stuff they purchase. So I would say 1 or 2 of those cases just set it aside for in case someone does a big buy. But you will put money into it. There's going to be times where you overbought, sales go down, you might have to put some money into it. That's fine. I did it in the restaurants. During the summer, we had great stuff. During the winter, the town closed down for 3 months. Basically the staff didn't work every day. I did most of the working on some days. I mean, the roads weren't clear. Not much you can do, but the lights were still on, the heat was still on. You got to stay open. You got to keep the lights on. You're going to have times like that. But I always try to, now, I'm not worried about, because I have accounts that I've put money in over years and stuff like that. But you'll get there. It's called startup. And a lot of the taxes, people say, well, you know, they expect a business not to make money. I think if you, 3-4 years, if you don't make money and don't show a profit, they consider you a hobby. Not sure how all that works. I'm not a tax guy, but I just know one thing: if you're considered a hobby seller or whatever, the biggest thing is you can't use the Schedule C to write anything off of your business. That's what the difference is. Where if you're a business and you do a Schedule C at the end of the year, you can write off all the expenses. So everything you buy, make sure you expense out. Just remember, if you buy a scale for $100, you can write off $100, but you really bought the scale with because self-employment tax is 15% basically. So basically you bought the scale for $85. You got a 15% discount. You're taking $15 off the profit you would have paid in taxes on $100. So it's not you're saving $100, you're saving 15. So that a lot of people get a little nervous about that. But yeah, you will pay taxes and stuff like that. It will show as an income and stuff if you make so much money. I'm not a tax person, but I have a CPA. I give her like 15 numbers at the end of the year. I can give it to her today, because I keep everything up for the month, and she puts it all together. And the reason I use a CPA is they knew all the rules. They knew all what's new out there, what she can take off and stuff like that, and she keeps it, and she signs and says, I did this. So if anything happens and she did it wrong, and she had before when I had my other businesses, she's been my tax person since 1984. They made a mistake. They paid for the mistake, the penalty that there was in there, and it was on them. So that's another reason I use a CPA. They're up on all the rules. I hope a lot of this conversation helps you today. There was a lot of things out there, from NASCAR, look at those, to what you don't like, and some of the questions I get. That's why I like reading these things and getting this stuff from people. I wish I could put everybody's comments out there. I just pick and choose randomly. Keep submitting comments and stuff, and I'll see if I can use them and start a conversation with them. I just kind of randomly pick them. But that's all I got for today. Here's some more fish, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.